with our guest, upcoming very, very shortly. Our guest will be Bill Cooper. Bill Cooper, who believes we're heading for a one-world government. Bill Cooper, who had the privilege of looking at some top-secret papers at one time. Bill Cooper, the very same man that saw a UFO coming up out of the water, hovering above a huge ship out in the middle of Midway. And a bunch of other people saw it but denied it, but he says he saw it and he does not deny it. Bill Cooper, a man who has been attacked by just about every member of the UFO community, but a man who stands up for what he has been saying right along. And Bill Cooper is a man that has been telling a story, and a story that sometimes is hard to believe. But if he's telling the truth, he is the only man that has come forth to tell the truth, because everybody else in the UFO community and in the conspiracy end of things is calling this man a liar and a total fraud. You're going to hear his side of the story. He's a man that's been challenged from all different sides, and he's come out on top every single time. He's a man that's been in the ring a number of times, literally in the ring a number of times, and he's a man that'll be joining us right after this word.
Oh, yeah. There he is. Bill Cooper, all-American hero. When he says that he's been in the ring, that's kind of funny, too. Because on a number of occasions, several occasions, at various UFO conferences, before Cooper basically burned all his bridges in the UFO field, he had gotten, shall we say, liquored up just a bit and would get in arguments. One particular case happened down in San Diego back in the early 90s where he literally got in a fist fight with another guy by the name of Eric Beckyard. Oh yes, this Cooper was quite a character, but his main raison d'etre was the Zapruder film. By now, most of the UFO stuff he was kind of hedging on. Well, maybe it's real, maybe it's not, but the one thing that he would go to the mats on was the driver of JFK's limousine was the murderer. Same show, Billy Goodman, the night of September 26, talking about the Zapruder film.
Does John Lear work for the CIA?
John Lear has worked for the CIA all of his life.
Okay. I talked to a guy who's been researching the JFK assassination for 15 years, and the 18 people killed, he told me that only one of those was actually there, and he died in a car accident on the way to give some information to a lawyer, but the other people were only involved in the investigation from what he told me.
Well, there were 18 people that were involved with the Kennedy assassination, either there as witnesses or involved in it in some way, directly. And I mean directly enough that the police really needed these people as witnesses. And they were killed within 2 years. Now, about a year or two after that, and it wasn't very long, over 200 people who had been connected with the assassination have died in mysterious ways. I mean, the odds against this stuff is absolutely incredible against it ever happening ever. You know that right now, over 200 people connected to the Kennedy assassination are all dead? Right this very moment?
Yeah, that's amazing. I borrowed an 8mm copy of the Zapruder film, and I looked at it with a handheld microfiche reader, and at first I thought it was a gun, but I think Bo Grice is correct, and what looks like the barrel, I think it's the reflection of the guy's head, and if it was the barrel, it's pointed above his head.
Well, in the first place, it's not a normal gun like you're used to looking at. I think if you've heard me speak, I don't know if you have or not.
Yeah.
It's a pistol that was developed by the CIA for assassination attempts at close range. It's electrically operated, gas-powered. It fires an exploding pellet, not a regular lead bullet. And it doesn't use a powder charge. It uses a gas, like a pneumatic pistol. I don't really know what the shape of the thing is, although there is a very famous photograph of Barry Goldwater holding the thing at one of the Senate hearings, I believe in 1976, the Senate Select Committee on Assassinations. And it is very difficult to make out what it is that Greer is holding in the film. But it is not a reflection on the top of Kellerman's head, I can guarantee you. And you can see the end of the barrel sticking out past Kellerman's head in the back. And you can also see Greer bring the pistol up across his chest and over his shoulder before part of it disappears behind Kellerman's head. And you can also see him take it back down across his chest. Now, Greer testified that he never turned around. The so-called expert on the Kennedy assassination, Bob Groden, who was hired as the photographic expert, the man who has no degrees in photography, has no experience in photography whatsoever, told the Senate Select Committee on Assassinations that Greer never turned around either. I guarantee anybody that watches that film can see Greer turn around.
All right, Gary, thank you for your call this morning.
So, there we have it once again. Now, Goodman, well, who knows what Goodman believed? But at this period of time, now it's been a year or more that Lars Hansen, among other people, have been out there trying to dissuade this notion that somehow the Secret Service agent driving Kennedy's limousine was actually the executioner of JFK. Somebody called up another caller into Goodman's show, and Goodman apparently, well, say he was a little upset at this. I'll let Goodman tell you all about it.
Above his shoulder, and I say something because, like you say, it's not a gun per se or a weapon we're used to seeing, and something does happen there.
That's right.
Bill, why do you think it is that people are coming forward saying that that's not actually happening right now?
Well, I don't know. I think people got cold feet. I think the person that originally made the film maybe made it and tossed it out to see what the public reaction would be to the truth, but they didn't count on me coming along. They didn't count on me having seen documents when I was with Naval Intelligence that said that Greer is the one who shot the president. So nobody can make me back down. I know who did it.
Yeah.
And I was looking for the film for 16 years. And finally I was in a conversation with John Lear one night on the phone, and I told him what I'd seen in these documents. And he said, "Would you like to see the film?" I said, "You're kidding. I've been looking for that film for 16 years.
Yeah.
And so I got the film.
Well, not according to John Lear, which you heard a little bit ago. Cooper never mentioned anything about this until he was on that program On the Record with George Knapp. By this time, with my Part 1 expose in UFO Magazine having come out, and my Part 2 just coming out, and a number of very prominent people within the UFO field all asking questions about Cooper, he was beginning to feel more and more isolated. There's no doubt by this time that a lot of people had heard that there were questions about Milton William Cooper. Now, this was something that Goodman addressed, especially on this particular show, because by now it was common knowledge that Cooper had made a number of serious gaffes that came back to haunt him. This is how he responded.
Question, hopefully you'll answer it for us. Why is it that members of the UFO community are calling you a fraud and a liar and really coming after you and trying to stop you on your quest?
Well, it's not really the members of the UFO community, Billy. It's the leaders of the UFO community, and it's not all of the leaders either, because some of the leaders are staunch supporters. The ones that I have identified as working for the government, putting out false information, and the ones that I have identified that are working in this program to create an alien enemy, to convince the people that we're under a threat of an alien attack, those are the people who are coming against me, and they're coming against me for a very good reason. Because if I turn out to be right, they're dead ducks.
Okay, so he took
North
some
Hollywood,
more calls.
California, and there's Chris. Good morning, Chris.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm wondering why Mr. Cooper doesn't name the people who support him. From what I've been reading lately, some of the strongholds of the leaders of the community, UFO community, including Virgil Armstrong, Jim Beebe, Bill Hamilton, Bandini, DeMar, Dennett, Lars Hansen. These people themselves have been putting the facts as the way they see it. It's very much against your presentation of being original and being authentic. As far as your ethics go, they don't seem to think too much of that. And I think this extends to MUFON too. People, how can you comment about that?
Well, certainly, I'll be happy to comment about it. The people that you're naming, for instance, Virgil Armstrong has been affiliated with the CIA most of his life. He was an intelligence officer in the service.
Weren't you in the intelligence in the service?
I was. That's right. But I was never with the CIA, and I also was not an officer. You understand?
Well, I don't know.
There's a big difference, and for people in the military, they know what that difference is. You see, there's rules and regulations that say you can't talk about this stuff. You can't talk about it, okay? Now, an officer is held to that until his dying day, because an officer is never really out, even though he retires. An officer can be called back at any time. He's still an officer. The fact that Virgil Armstrong is talking about this stuff and nothing has happened to his pension, nothing is happening to him at all, tells me that Virgil Armstrong is talking about it because someone has told him to talk about it.
What about Don Ecker?
Gentlemen?
Well, now a name came up that Cooper was not too happy to hear. And that was my name. Now, this is when he started his attacks, and later, a little bit later after this, in real time, is when I got the telephone call telling me to tune in. But this is Cooper's response.
Those are local numbers for you folks in the Utah area, obviously. Now let's go back to Bill Cooper and Chris in North Hollywood.
Yeah, the question was in the UFO magazine, the volume 5, number 4, which was last month's issue, one of the editors, I believe, or writers, for that magazine, stated a story about Don Eckert, in his focus on you, Bill Cooper, and what he had to say was pretty much disseminated any of your credibility. And the follow-up issue, some of the bigger names in the UFO community, as you say, returned their acknowledgments as to verifying this. It doesn't seem like your credibility is holding up unless it's just through this magazine and these few people.
Let me ask
you wouldn't mention the people who did stand by you.
Have you ever been to one of my talks?
No, I haven't. I've heard lectures that you've given.
Until you've been to one of my talks, you don't know anything about my credibility. You just
I'm not stating that.
People are telling you.
These other people seem to know about that, and that's what I'm asking for.
No, they don't. What they're doing is they're writing their opinion.
Well, the opinions that I'm stating is that they don't think too much of you. And
what I'm trying to tell you is if you're basing your opinion on them instead of finding out for yourself.
I haven't given you my opinion, sir. I've given you what they said roughly, and the answers that they've gotten from that initial story. So, I mean, don't attack me, attack them.
I'm not attacking you. I made a statement. Let me tell you about what happened with UFO Magazine so that you'll get the credibility where it belongs.
Please, thank you.
In issue number 5 of my newsletter, I put out a newsletter. In issue number 5, I tied a connection with Vicki Cooper, who is the editor of UFO Magazine, directly to the CIA. I published this in my newsletter, and in my newsletter I said, because I've published this, I'm going to be attacked by UFO Magazine. A sure thing, the very next issue, they devoted a good portion of their magazine to attacking me.
Now, I got to stop for just a second before we go on with that. You probably weren't there, and if you were around and you were interested at the time, I'm sure that this would have slipped out of your mind years ago. But what the man just said was an absolute bald-faced lie.